They say bad things happen when good men do nothing. Title deed holders in Zimbabwe who lost everything, their farms, their lands, their livelihoods, their enterprises, equal citizenship, cannot be blamed for what happened to them. But future generations might blame them for having done nothing about it, not asking the critical questions, not holding those who they have elected or appointed to act on their behalf accountable and responsible. So I got involved in the compensation debate in Zimbabwe early in February 2023, when a number of our members, along with leaders of organized agriculture in Zimbabwe, former leaders, said to us that the latest offer of compensation in bonds is not acceptable. More than that, the global compensation deed, which was negotiated on the issue of compensation, it has failed us. Nothing came of it. And we don't think that it is an adequate vehicle towards fair and equitable compensation. But we don't have any vehicle to express these views. Hence, they asked us to be that vehicle. And the first thing we did, we engaged with the leadership in the CFU. And we said to them, we have a rapidly growing number of members in Zimbabwe, also in Canada and New Zealand and Australia, Zambia, Mozambique, South Africa, who feel very strong against compensation in bonds and against the extension of the global compensation deed. That number have now grown to close to 900. Today, SAI is the biggest representative voice of title deed holders in Zimbabwe. And we cannot be wished away. We thereafter had a brainstorming session with lawyers and experts and Zimbabwean members. We spent a day trying to unpack the status quo and see what the scenarios could possibly play out. And in this brainstorming session, we had the same recurring question about the role of Valcon. Valcon is a consortium of businesses, commercial enterprises, service providers, who got to this visionary and absolutely brilliant initiative to value all the properties at the time of dispossession, and to agree with the title deed holders that they will be paid once compensation happens. And I have never heard any of the members of SAI or elsewhere who question Valcon's right to be paid for their services, or even the quantum of the agreement. I've not seen that. The question is about the rest of Valcon's role. Why have they signed the global compensation deed? Who gave them a mandate? How can title deed holders hold them responsible and accountable? That is the issue. Do they have the right to enter into politics, into negotiating a haircut? What kind of discounts on behalf of their clients? Because title deed holders are their clients, not their members. And the lawyer said to us, you have to clarify this. This is really at the foundation of our struggle. And the biggest part of our struggle is a struggle for transparency. Hence, a letter to Valcon. And I hear now from Valcon on the latest response, one of the very few responses we had. By far, the majority of questions we posed to them remain unanswered. And even in the latest video clip, Valcon acknowledges that they did not answer us. even here, I sense this annoyance with the fact that a lawyer sent them the letter. But you see, for our members, this compensation is the only hope they have. It's a big thing for them. They cannot gamble with it. We need clarity on key issues. Who gave Welcon, or CSC for that matter, the mandate to pursue bonds, to try to persuade us to accept bonds? No one did. And it's important that they understand that they do not have the mandate of the majority of title deed holders when it comes to that. They confirmed that much of what we were concerned about is real. That there are not the questions we are hoping for. That the information they give to us is not complete. And some of it is simply not true. And without reliable information from their side, without proper communication, the risk on title deed holders is simply too big. SAI has never accused Welcon of victimizing our members. That victimization is rife in Zimbabwe, so we heard horrible stories of victimization by the Zimbabwean government and its agents. There should be understanding that we are reluctant to make a list of the names of our members public exactly for that reason. Why would Welcon want a list of the names of our members? And when it comes to the auditing of the polls, there's a fact that the outcome of SAI's poll was vastly different from the outcome of Welcon's poll. And the first explanation for that, we heard in the video clip from Welcon. I wish we heard it 2 months before. But we cannot be so sure about that. What's wrong with asking for a professional audit of that and get the advice? Why couldn't an auditor sit with the both of us and discuss this discrepancy? And whatever the reason would be, it all boils down to a big no in both these polls. The farmers said no to compensation and bonds, and they said the global compensation deed has reached a cul-de-sac. They don't want it anymore. There's no further mandate for that. There's this issue about trust between SAI and Welcon. Trust is not just given, it is earned. Let's look at why there's a lack of trust. What erodes the trust? This has nothing to do with the agenda of making a profit from this. It's got nothing to do with the money that is due to Welcon for its visionary initiative and for doing these valuations. And not even about what they've already received in compensation from the EU and elsewhere, like the 5% they are taking in the interim relief payment. It's not about that. It is about that it is not the only benefit for members of the CSC. There are other commissions also to be paid, for example, in Matabele land. It's about this suspicion of structures being put in place to act as a conduit for compensation. And who will control it? Who will own it? And if there is nothing like that, why not put it in writing? Why not committing to it? If you know there's a trust issue around it, bring it into the light. You see, the trust has also been eroded already at that visit, which Welcon refers to in 2017, when leaders amongst the title deed holders asked Welcon whether the valuations would be available for court cases in South Africa, and it was refused. It's just logic that it will create suspicion. And then there is the claim that the 3.5 billion in compensation has been registered against the national debt. I can't say that it's not so. We can just say that we're not so certain about it. Put it out in the public domain. Why didn't we get that answer when a question was asked in the Zimbabwean parliament? SAI has never called on its members to have their names removed from the Welcon databases. But we did commit to our members to keep on asking the difficult questions until they are answered. We have committed to make sure that the institutions in which they put their trust, or they have put it up to now, remain responsible and accountable. We can commit to hold them to that. And it's wonderful news to hear that Welcon remains committed to the cause of the dispossessed farmers and that they are still prepared to work with all the stakeholders. We really hope that it will be possible in future to work much closer. But if they are so committed, why then be part of the restructuring of the Compensation Steering Committee whilst leaving out SAI? Whilst you know that the biggest part of the voice of those on whose behalf you act and who are your clients will not be part of it. How do you build trust? By getting involved in something like that.